Hi class, this is Mr. Rigger. We're going to be looking at the first half of evaluating limits analytically in this lecture video. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through this note sheet that we would have gone through in class, and I'm going to be filling in some blanks and explaining some stuff for you as we go. So as we discussed in class in the 1-2 lesson, that the value of a function at a specific x value is not always the same as the limit of that function as the x value approaches that same thing. So, for example, we looked at a very simple example in class where we had y equals 1 except for when x is 2, in which case y would be 0. So here f of 2 is 0, but the limit of y as x approaches 2 is 1, because 1 is going to be the value here of what it looks like it should be headed to. Now, there are some instances though, as you'll see, when the function's value is equal to the limit. And that's a very special time for us because it makes our work very easy. We're going to be able to evaluate these limits through direct substitution, which means we can throw the value, substitution, we'll say that says substitution. We're going to be able to throw the value of the number directly in for the x, and then we'll be able to figure out what the limit value is. So this makes this very simple, and if you're like, what are you talking about, Mr. Rigger? Let's look at it. So let's look at the real examples here, and then we'll come back to the properties. So if I have the line y equals 3, 1, 2, 3, the y value is always 3. So as x approaches 2, y is still 3. That's why the limit of b as x approaches any number is going to be b, because this is a constant value. We have the line y equals b, so y is b no matter what x equals. Now, if I have the limit of x as x approaches -4, that should be a no-brainer. As x approaches -4, x is -4. But if we look at the graph here, really we're saying look at the graph y equals x. So as I approach a certain x value, like x is c, that means I'm also going to y is c because y is x. Now here, the limit of x squared as x approaches 2. Well, this is just going to be 2 squared. I'm just going to throw that 2 in for x. So I'm going to get 4. So why is that the case on our graph? Well, if I'm looking at, let's say we're looking at something like this. Pretend that that's x cubed or x to the 7th. So y equals x to the n is our graph. As x approaches c, y is going to be c to the n. That's simple. So these are the most basic and easiest limits. On my next video, we'll talk about the properties of limits.